Hi! The next stop in our journey through the various regional human rights systems is Europe. And here we have to discuss two regional organizations, namely the Council of Europe and the European Union, which taken together create what is arguably the most powerful human rights protection system, or rather systems, that exist at the regional level, if only because of the breadth of their mandate and the resources that they have at their disposal. Now in this video I'll only be able to scratch the surface of what these organizations are about. So I will refer you to the textbook, which explains in much more detail, in particular the various competences, mandates and procedures that underlie these systems. In the first clip I'll be talking about the general interrelationship between the different organizations, as well as the Council of Europe in general. In the second clip, I'll then address the European Court of Human Rights, which of course is a part of the Council of Europe. And in the third video, I will zoom in on the role that the European Union plays in the promotion and protection of human rights. Before going into these details, I would like to start, however, with a bird's eye view and mention the three legal frameworks that play an important role when it comes to human rights protection. And these indeed are the European Union with the Charter of Fundamental Rights, the Council of Europe with the European Convention on Human Rights, and the various nation states with their domestic constitutions. Now, the coexistence between various international organizations and conventions, as well as various member states and their domestic legal frameworks, is of course nothing that is unique to Europe, and in the inter-American system we have something similar. However, if you want to understand the European human rights system, the key to that is looking at the interrelationship between those various elements. The European Convention on Human Rights, which is a part of the Council of Europe system, is of course Europe's oldest human rights instrument. It predates the European Union and has therefore in fact been absolutely instrumental in the development of a sort of human rights framework within the EU. And only at the end of the 1990s, and in fact in 1999, did the Charter of Fundamental Rights come about in order to, so to say, streamline the human rights obligations that through the European Convention, as well as the national constitutions of the member states and the so-called constitutional traditions of the member states, had already existed at the EU level. Put more simply, the human rights system of the EU is both the product of and inspired by both the European Convention on Human Rights as well as national constitutions. And of course, I'll say more about this in the third clip. Finally, we also have a very intricate relationship between the various national constitutions and national human rights frameworks and the European Convention on Human Rights. The European Court of Human Rights has spent a lot of time, energy and thought in reconciling the European Convention with the traditions, with the sort of interpretations that exist in various member states, which often have judiciaries that are also extremely protective of their legal traditions and legal cultures. Think, for example, of the German, UK, Italian, or also French legal systems, all of which look back at a very long tradition of individual rights protections, which absolutely predates the ECHR. That said, let us look at the Council of Europe as the first regional organization that plays a pivotal role here. Consisting of 47 member states, which includes basically all European states except for Belarus, the Council of Europe is tasked with promoting and upholding the rule of law, democracy, and indeed human rights throughout this European continent in the large sense. Now, very important here, to prevent major boo-boos both in class and later on in your lives, the Council of Europe is very different from the European Council, which is at the EU level the sort of body or organ that comprises of the heads of governments and head of states, which together make policy decisions and give general policy directions for the 27 member states of the EU. Just to underscore this point, but also because it's generally an important aspect. The European Union is in fact expected to join the Council of Europe at some point, just as another member next to the various 48 member state parties that already exist. So these are two distinct organizations, with one actually possibly ending up joining or becoming a member of the other. The Council of Europe consists of various institutions and comprises over 200 instruments, many of which are in fact related to specific rights or issues in human rights. And again, I would refer you to the textbook for a description of what these include. However, I would like to end this clip with a very useful overview that has been provided by the Council of Europe on its website. And here you can see the various instruments that exist, some of them obviously more important than others. I will draw your attention here to the European Convention, to which I'll get in the second clip. But obviously there are different instruments and with them also different mechanisms. So we can see here, and this will not come as a surprise, reports, visits, recommendations as tools in the toolbox of the Commissioner for Human Rights or the European Commission Against Racism and Intolerance, as well as individual complaints and collective complaints, and possibly even interstate complaints to be launched before the European Court of Human Rights and the European Committee of Social Rights. All of this to say that the Council of Europe is a very broad institution with various mechanisms, all of which are there geared to the promotion of human rights on various rights for various groups and so on. In fact, I would strongly encourage you to look at the website of the Council of Europe, and in particular at its Human Rights tab, not only to understand better what these various mechanisms and bodies do, but also to get a better understanding and up-to-date understanding of what the human rights situation in Europe, in the various countries in Europe, is today. That's it for the first clip. I'll now move on to talk about the European Court of Human Rights.